Hello, and welcome to the Office of the Patriot. In this office, we try to make sense out of the nonsense of the progressive left and Rhino right. Illegal immigration, one of the most emotionally charged and highly contested issues surrounding the 2024 election. I mean, you can't watch TV for more than half an hour or listen to the radio or scan your favorite social media platform without seeing something related to immigration, both legal and illegal. In this episode of Office of the Patriot, we're going to go over the facts surrounding illegal immigration, the impact that illegal immigration has on U.S. citizens, and discuss the reasons why many of our elected representatives are advocating for illegal immigrants over their constituency. Illegal immigration. This phrase is the textbook definition of beating a dead horse. However, as of late, it's become a problem of epidemic proportion, and it's negatively affecting virtually every American in the United States. Here's a little collage I put together to illustrate my point.
Mugshots tell the stories in brief. The bigger story involves a revolving door of undocumented migrants. Mexican national Hector Eduardo Ramirez Gutierrez has been arrested for dealing meth and deported from the U.S. 7 times.
It's not a problem, it's an epidemic.
Sí, este pie pasalo para acá, aquí. Agárralo, güey. Hey. Pásame ese maletín, porfa. Coge la zapatilla. Please, no, el maletín. Háblale, Alexis. El maletín, es mío. Here, please.
This morning, tensions escalating on the Texas border. Dramatic new video shows a struggle between Border Patrol and migrants in El Paso. The video shows dozens of migrants pulling aside a razor wire fence, then pushing their way past a handful of Border Patrol agents. The migrants were eventually stopped a short time later by a steel fence, where border agents and Texas DPS contained the situation and processed the 400 to 600 migrants.
So they're staging a sit-in. Where? The schools. Dozens of them set up camp at the Garfield Park tennis courts. Democrat activists joined them in a show of force. No hotel rooms, no tennis. Investigative journalist Jonathan Cho went there to check it out, and the tennis squatters said, no bueno.
There's someone here who regularly comes to these events that spreads misinformation. And if that person is going to be here recording and spreading misinformation, I'm not sure that we can continue with this press conference at this time.
They're asking you to stop. First tonight, absolutely horrific, and there is no other way, sadly enough, to describe the new details we're getting tonight about Laken Riley's final moments. An illegal immigrant allegedly killed the 22-year-old nursing student as she jogged near the University of Georgia campus. We're still waiting for the results of a rape kit. Neighbors of the suspect, Jose Iberia, say he stalked her on a near-daily basis, watching her as she ran by his apartment day after day.
As you saw in that video, you had officers overworked, injured, and in some cases killed. Thousands of American citizens have also been injured or killed as a result of illegal immigrants, and millions of taxpayer dollars have been reallocated to support illegal immigrants who appear to have the expectation that they're going to be cared for when they get to the United States. And what's more telling, they're ungrateful of our generosity. The United States has a population just under 350 million people. So how many of them are here illegally? Well, if you look at the statistics, they are all over the place. Some sources say we have a little over 11 million illegal aliens in the United States, all the way up to over 22 million. And to put that into perspective, the top 7 cities in the United States by population only reach 21 million people. That's a hell of a lot of people to be supporting via the social services that were intended for U.S. citizens. By not enforcing our border security, our government has cultivated and incentivized a group of people that don't need to be productive. And our government can secure the border right now, despite what Bumbling Joe claims. Under 8 U.S. Code 1182F, the president has the authority to suspend the entry of all aliens whenever the president finds the entry of any alien into the United States would be detrimental to the interest of the United States. I think that the video I just showed more than justifies the suspension of immigrants into the United States, at least until we can round up, vet, and deport those who should not be here in the first place. Our leftist and rhino politicians and the legacy media admonish us time and time again that we need to be compassionate and understanding of illegal immigrants who are coming to the United States for a better way of life. They preach that most of these people had very little to no resources in their own country, which is why they came here. So we should have some compassion. Okay, I get it. I mean, if I was in the exact same situation and somebody promised me that I would get free food, money, and a place to live if I came over there, then I'd probably jump ship myself. But the issue here isn't their need, it's ours.
Bingo. I got a bingo. So it's our fucking needs. We shouldn't be supporting others until we have all our people taken care of. Where's the government when they're, needing veterans need support for drug addiction, homelessness, and, suicide. There's still a massive suicide epidemic, that the veterans are dealing with. The government doesn't give a shit about any of us. So anyway, sorry to interrupt. Back to you.
No apology needed. And, truth is, it need to be said.
Yeah.
And this need has morphed into a huge problem for Americans. As I see it, there are two issues at play as it relates to illegal immigration. First, what the left demagogues are using to play on the emotions of Americans who are the most compassionate people in the world. This compassion is being exploited to advocate for charity and help for these illegal aliens. It's always easier to break down large problems into smaller bite-sized pieces, so here's how I'm going to do it. Looking at it from a position of compassion and assistance, when a person sees another in need and offers help, it's of their own volition. Further, when they offer the help, the amount and type is always up to the person who's giving it, not the receiver. Let's say you're an auto mechanic and you have a very close friend who's down on his luck. He lost his job and he's struggling to make ends meet. His car is also in need of repair, so he asks you for help. And because you're a good friend, you offer to have him bring his car over to your place so you can check it out and see what needs to be done, what the problems are. He advises you that it's probably not safe for him to move his car, so he asks you to come over to his house. You agree, and you go over to his house. You diagnose the car, and you find that it needs brakes all the way around. It needs O2 sensors, and the inner and outer tie rod ends for the rack are completely shot. The parts will cost about $500, but since you're his friend, you tell him that you will help him over the weekend to save him on all the labor costs. He says, I need the car now. I need it ASAP. I have a job interview in a couple of days, so would you mind coming over tomorrow? Okay. So you head over to his house the following day after work, and when you get there, you find that none of the parts that you told him you needed are there. Your friend advises you that since money is tight, he would need to borrow money from you to get the parts. Again, because you're such a good friend, you agree. You jump into your car with your friend and you go to the local auto parts store. You pay for all the parts. You bring them back to his place and you get to work on the car. You got the car on jack stands. You're underneath the front end of the car, removing tie rod ends and trying to get things loosened up. When you look over at your friend and you see him sitting down on a stool, you're a little bit perturbed, so you ask him, "Dude, why aren't you helping me out?" He goes on to tell you that he has no idea how to repair cars and believes that he would be in the way. He gets a phone call and then he just walks out of the garage. You're now more than slightly irritated, but you continue working on the car and you get it finished about 3 hours later or so. You get the car off the jack stands and you try to start it up, but it won't start. None of the systems that you repaired would cause this, So you go through the diagnostic process again and you find that there's no gasoline in the car. Your friend says since he has no money and was laid off from work, the car had to be towed back to his house when he ran out of gas on the road last week. He didn't tell you that. He asked for a quick ride over to the gas station so he can fill up his gas can to put gasoline into the car. So now you jump back into your car with your friend and his gas can and you go over to the gas station. He jumps out while you're sitting in the driver's seat and he goes to fill up the gas can. But instead, he's tapping on your window and letting you know that, hey, I don't have any money. Would you mind filling up the gas can for me? And you do it. Ladies and gentlemen, I can keep going on and on and on with this story, but hopefully you get the gist. Would you have stopped providing help? And if so, when? Would you have even begun to help your friend? Whatever the answer you give to those two questions really doesn't make a difference. Because the bottom line, when you help someone, you are the one who makes a decision on how much and what assistance you are willing to give a person in need. When our government does it, it isn't charity and it isn't compassion. It's theft. And they're stealing from you and I without the benefit of a reach around and a thank you, otherwise known as a hug and a tug.
Oh man, that was a good one. So yeah, thinking back, so my biggest fault that I think when I was a hardcore liberal was I always thought government was the answer to every ill in society. So they had the solution to everything, and they should be used to correct every ill in society. And it's a big problem with both parties, but in particular the Democrats. Every social ill is they have a governmental solution in mind. So yeah, every perceived ill in society is treatable with government. You know, from the mindset of a liberal, and frankly, a lot of Republicans are the same way, and in different aspects of society, but they both kind of do the same thing. So, you know, more often than not, government creates the problems. I think they're like an arsonist that sets a fire and then they put it out and they're the hero. So it's ridiculous. But yeah, getting back to the immigration issue, this is fucking insane. It's absolutely fucking insane. Uh, I mean, you've seen me go off many, many times, and I know
Just
you're
a
getting
little bit.
frustrated too.
Yeah,
Yeah, just a
absolutely.
little bit. Um, yeah, no other country in the world would allow this to happen. I mean, we're giving them free healthcare, free cell phones, free housing, free rent, free transportation, debit cards loaded with money. In some cases, cities and states are actually giving them money as well. Um, it's thousands of dollars, and there's a lot of hearsay about them coming as they're coming up before they even get to the border. They're getting supported by some of these NGOs, these non-governmental organizations, and
Yeah, yeah.
the not the WHO, uh, I forget, but they're getting money. They're getting a lot of support from even before the border. So they're almost being encouraged to come in, and we're just letting them come in and have free reign, and then we're just giving them more stuff. So
Yeah.
the videos you're playing are pissing me off. I mean, especially the immigrant that was caught numerous times and still let go. He should have been either in jail or deported. And he's set free each and every time. And there's like, I mean, it's absolute. It's a perfect crystallization of everything that's wrong with big government. It just shows how inept they are. They're incapable. I mean, if we could outsource the border security, it would be locked down. We would probably get like maybe a few people slipping in a year, but like it would be locked down hard. So
I
anyway,
mean, if we just actually enforce border security, it'd be locked down hard. I
yeah,
mean, there
I'm just saying
again,
it's like government. Yeah, but
yeah,
government is so we're both in agreement on this. Government just sucks.
yeah.
Everything they do can be done better by the private sector. But yeah, it's their
Agreed.
job to do.
Agreed.
That's one of their primary roles: protect the fucking border. We don't have a
Yeah.
nation without a border.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So, but that brings me to my next issue, and that issue is accountability. And what do I mean by this? By accountability is that a person's circumstance should never be the determining factor for accountability of one's actions. And again, to break things down from the macro to the micro will be the easiest way to explain. So, say you have a family, a wife and 2 children, or if you're a female watching this program, a husband and 2 children. You live a very meager life, but you're happy. You're hardworking and you make an honest living, but you don't have a lot of disposable income. You decide you want to surprise your family with a summer vacation to Disneyland. I mean, who doesn't love Disneyland? So you save and you save until you have enough money to make the trip. You make all of the arrangements and plan to bring enough cash for the trip based off of the information on the Disneyland website, neighboring hotels, restaurants. You scan everything out. And you head off with your family on a road trip for fun.
I think you're all fucked in the head. We're 10 hours from the fucking fun park and you want to bail out. Well, I'll tell you something. This is no longer a vacation. It's a quest. It's a quest for fun. I'm going to have fun and you're going to have fun. We're all going to have so much fucking fun we'll need plastic surgery to remove our goddamn smiles. You'll be whistling Symphony Doodah out of your assholes.
You get to the hotel, you check in, and take the family out to dinner. You rush back to the hotel to get a good night's sleep because you want a fresh start in the morning for your family's Disneyland adventure. You arrive at Disneyland. The kids are jumping up and down with excitement, and you cannot wait to watch them experience Disneyland for their very first time. You get up to the ticket booth, and the attendant tells you that the total amount to enter the park for the family is $450. And this is about $100 more than what you saw on the website. So you ask, why the change in price? You're advised that there was a price hike just before the summer. The attendant can let your family members go in, but you would have to stay out. But the rest of the family doesn't want you to give up your vacation too, so everyone decides to leave together. They're all sad. You're all walking back to your car, and then you notice the fence line that's usually covered by bushes has some of the bushes torn up. So upon closer inspection, you see the chain link fence where the bushes was cut. So you tell your significant other to climb through and then your children to follow after. And then you follow them and you're all in the park. You make your way to where the public is walking around. Then you realize, hell, I just saved myself $350 that you would have had to spend just to get in. So you go on a spending spree. The kids get Mickey hats and t-shirts. The wife gets a cute new top, and if it's a husband, he gets a cool hat as well. And everyone gets a turkey drumstick, and everyone is happy. Then you make your way to the rides. You go on rides one after the other for hours on end. And about 5 hours into your adventure, security staff make their way to you and your family while you're in line for another ride, and they ask you to accompany them to the office. They take you and your family to an office and show you a surveillance video that captured you and your family crawling through the damaged fence. And they advise you that they're going to escort you off the premises, and you're no longer welcome back at the park ever. So you try to mitigate the incident by pleading with them. You advise them what it took you to get there, how difficult it was to save money, the issue with the outdated information on the website. And you even go as far as telling them that all of the money that they had to pay just to get into the park was used while they were in the park, so they got the money anyway. The park manager was sympathetic, but advised them that they still broke in and they had no legal right to be there. Now, some of you may empathize with the plight of this family. However, thousands of other people followed the rules and paid the entry fee into the park to enjoy the benefit of being there. This, ladies and gentlemen, is accountability. Just because a person wants something or may even need it doesn't justify acquiring it through illegal means. And like the park manager at Disney was well within his or her right to remove this family, so is our government. And more to the point, they have an obligation to do this. Our elected representatives, to include the idiot bumbling Joe Biden, swore an oath to defend against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And if they don't know who's coming into the country, which I'm sure this administration has no fucking idea who's here, then by that metric alone, they are derelict in their responsibility and absolutely culpable for the aftermath. Ladies and gentlemen, illegal immigration 20 plus years ago used to be something that concerned Americans, but by and large didn't have an impact on day-to-day activities that it does today.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. And just to reiterate what we always say, Democrats and big government loving Republicans love to spend other people's money on whatever they think is, important to them. But when it comes to them spending money, their own money on us, they ain't gonna do it. They're a bunch of self-righteous assholes, and they will not pony up their own money. So, um, I mean, we have a massive fentanyl crisis. The drugs are killing how many people now? On average, over 100,000 citizens per year, and most
At
of them are probably
least.
children or young adults. That in itself should be enough. I mean, we have rape crisis before as people are coming up to the border, and then once they cross the border, there's the human trafficking aspect, and that's happening in our own country. It's unbelievable. It's like we have South American gangs, Venezuelan gangs, all the way up in New York City. They're stealing. They have human trafficking rings. It's insane. Um, so the other thing is the type of people that we're getting up here. Typically, I would say by and large, they're not skilled. They have very very low skills. So there's limited job opportunities for them. They're usually not highly educated, so they're kind of a drag on society. If granted, they can take jobs that a lot of people don't want to do, but honestly, if those jobs were not filled by illegal immigrants, they would have to be filled by Americans, and it would happen. It's just we would have a shift in society. I remember when we were young, I would go out. I'd be working the neighborhood before I even got a paper route. I'd be working Can I mow your lawn? Can I, help you with some yard work? I'd be getting money, and then my parents would give me like 25 cents to clean up all the leaves, and it would take me hours. And I thought the 25 cents was a lot of money, to a little kid. I mean, granted, we didn't have bills, but
Oh yeah,
it was awesome. So we need a mindset change in this country, and the whole explanation of, oh, they're going to fill jobs that we don't want, that's a bunch of fucking bullshit, and everybody knows it. It's bullshit.
absolutely.
So, and lastly, how many of our citizens have to be raped, murdered, um, die from drugs? Because mostly the Democrats and the rhinos, they open the borders. They have zero interest in closing them and preventing bad actors from coming here. And like you said, we have no fucking idea how many known terrorists, are in the country. We have some idea because some of them have been let go. We've seen videos. I mean, they're even showing it on major media, so we know it's a fucking problem. I mean, dude, and Chinese nationals. Why do we have like? I think the count was up almost 120,000 young Chinese men. They come across the border dressed
Mhm.
well, clean. It doesn't look like they're struggling, and we're giving them free shit on top of it. And China's our number one threat. So we need a wake up call. I'm fucking
No,
pissed. I don't know what
absolutely
else to
agree.
say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I agree. I mean, what's happening is we're all the things, like I said, that are supposed to be slotted for American citizens and issues that American citizens are now having to deal with because of illegal immigration. Again, like I said earlier, in our conversation, um, 25, 30 years ago, when you talked about illegal immigration, it was kind of a remote
Right.
issue. People in these border towns had to deal with it, but even they were able to deal with that because there was, law enforcement, and they took their job seriously. They captured these people. They take them into custody as a parole agent. We had it used to be called USINS or ICE. And you'd have a parolee that was an illegal immigrant. We'd wind up hooking them up, letting ICE know, and then ICE would go ahead and go take them to Ely, Arizona for deportation proceedings. So there was a process for law enforcement to contact the federal law enforcement, and that's not happening today. So we're losing issues when it comes to like personal safety, lawlessness, and medical services and education, and even access to public venues and social services all have been adversely affected by illegal immigration.
Yeah.
And make no mistake, this is by design. Leftist Democrats, with the help of rhino Republicans, intend to change the dynamic of the United States by allowing a flood of destitute, unskilled people who are dependent on our government for survival. It is the Uniparty's plan to use these people to maintain power through liberal voting practices. Yes, I said it. Now, everyone can turn a blind eye to this and maybe even call you and I conspiracy theorists, but the fact remains that there are 22 million plus illegal immigrants in the United States today, and those numbers are rising by the minute. And if people continue to vote in liberal Democrats and rhino politicians into office who condone this, then honestly, we have no one to blame but ourselves.
Yeah,
for
they
what
need to
comes
get the
next.
fuck. We need to send them
This
out of the
concludes.
fucking country.
I was going to close out. I was ready to close out. Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah, no, I agree. We do need to we need to get rid of them. I mean, the only issue that I see when we are going to try to the public perception has a way of molding public policy, right? And the way things are shown. So like, and you've seen it before where the media will show just like one little snippet of something and then will tug on the heartstrings when in fact the public doesn't know everything. So, let's just say, for argument's sake, that we get Donald Trump back in office, right? He's back in office. And he decides we're going to go and I'm going to re-empower the CBP and INS to round up people who don't have any business being here, and then to deport them. We're just going to basically send them packing. I can promise you that when he says that, a lot of people are going to be happy, right? A lot of people are like, yay! But the minute you have a camera on a family where mommy and daddy are being cuffed up and they got poor little Enrique over there who's crying, who's 3 or 4 years old because the policía are hooking up mommy and daddy, it's all over. It's all over.
No, I don't know.
Yeah. People are going to go, oh, they're tearing a family apart.
The liberals will do that. I think the rest of us will be like, get the fuck out. It's your parents' fault. Get the fuck out.
I get it. I get it.
I think the biggest problem is even, okay, so let's say we get Trump. Let's say we get lucky and there's another, another leader that follows Trump for another 8 years that is able to lock down the border, but they can't get the legislation done through Congress to actually make it a permanent type of thing. It's not going to stop the Democrats will do the same thing that Biden is doing next time, whether that's after Trump or, 8 or 12 years, whatever it is. They're going to keep doing the same thing because they've already ruined their own party. They've replaced the middle class with the illegal immigrant class. That's their new base. They're laser focused on that. So we know what their game plan is. It's like at this point we're just at war with these people. I mean,
well, that's one of the problems. But the other problem I see that we're having to deal with is when you have, again, we talked about, a class of people who have very little skills and in an economy that doesn't work well for, right? I mean, even our menial labor jobs, you have to have a significant amount of skill to be able to do them. So you got a bunch of people who either A, don't have the skills, or B, don't have the wherewithal. They're just not going to do it because, they've been criminals all their lives in their home country. So when they come here to the United States, they're not going to engage in what we would view as, legitimate work. So
Yeah.
that therein lies the problem. We're having to deal with two different dynamics of people. We're having two, you have people who are law-abiding citizens and will follow the law, and then you have another group who won't. And the problem here is if the justice system isn't doing what it's supposed to be doing, then a lot of people think lawlessness is, well, and I'll clear this up. Lawlessness is a societal system, right? So you have a lawful system and an unlawful, or basically a the law of the jungle type of a system, right? So if you have a law of the jungle type system, if everyone agrees to that type of a system, then there will be an equilibrium, right? I mean, you're going to have the strongest people surviving, but even good people will still survive the law of the jungle because they're inherently good, but they can defend themselves, right? You'll have a lot of bad people, obviously, but there's a law, and the problem with trying to mix the two is if there's no accountability for being bad and you're good and you try to defend yourself, and then the government comes after you because you defended yourself. So they're allowing the law of the jungle on one side, but they're holding you to law, or to the prescribed law. And so that's where I think we're going to have the problem, and that's where the problem lies. So this isn't gonna go away. Me personally, like I said, I think I see. We just have to stop the border flow. If we can get some of these people out, especially the ones who are terrorists and the ones who are serious and violent criminals, then all the better. I just don't. Now I'm not saying I don't want it, because I will clarify. I would love for it to happen. I just don't see. Again, because people are easily lured. They're gullible. As a group, as a whole, I'm sure you've heard that saying, people are stupid, but a person is smart. And there's fact to prove that. So, I don't think once on camera and it's on CNN or MSNBC or even Fox News that you have kids in cages and police officers pulling families up. Oh yeah, that's going to go over like a fart in church, right? It's just not going to work. So I as much as I'd love to see these people deported, I just don't see that it's going to happen. They got in, and like you said so eloquently, we're fucked as a result.
The Democrats want them counted in the next census, and that will totally change the representatives, the federal representative numbers throughout the entire nation. They'll have to add more, and most of them will be Democrats.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, it is a big problem. So, I mean, well, hopefully our audience will get the gist of, where we were coming from, and, really start vetting the politicians who are running for office, who will be representing them, because that's ultimately the goal. You need to really vet these people. The polished teeth, the veneers, the nice two-piece suit or double-breasted, that crap isn't going to work anymore. Example. It can't. Gavin Newsom. Yeah, he's the poster child for the greasy, slick politician. So, yeah, definitely a douchebag. So, but again, he didn't just walk into that position. He was voted in. Because again, you have a lot of gullible people. So what it's going to take people who are going to have to be informed, and it means not being deliberately indifferent to what your situation is. You have to look at it in the eye. It's kind of like no one likes to think that their kid is screwing up at school, but the bottom line is if your kid isn't getting A's and B's, then they're screwing up. I mean, that's just the way it is. So if your kid is screwing up at school, then you need to be proactive and start dealing with the problem. So you're going to have to talk with a kid, maybe admonish them, punish them, do whatever you have to do, find out what's going on at the school. And it takes your time, but that's what you need to do to get the problem corrected. And until we get people that realize that this problem is not some obscure, it's bothering somebody else problem, it's in their face right now. And then they find people that can legitimately want to solve the problem and put those people in office, then I think we're going to be where we're at, where this constant slow movement to this socialist ideology that will be the new United States of America. I hope I'm wrong, but that's what it looks like to me. So this concludes today's presentation of Office of the Patriot. If you enjoyed the content, please take the time to like, subscribe, and share our channel on your social media. It is appreciated. Also, please take the time to comment. Engagement is the major metric social media platforms like YouTube and Rumble employ in their search algorithms. The more people that like and comment, the more the Office of the Patriot channel comes up when social and political content like this is searched for. And as always, have a blessed day and stay safe out there.